Welcome to class. So what I have done here is that so welcome to class. So what I have done here is that I've actually I've drew the lines. This is the waistline, the under bust, the bust point, and the chest line. I took my shoulder measurement and my arm depth. I used it here, and I removed a quarter, 3/4 inch for the slant, and the neck is 3 by 3. And on the waistline, I measured the bust pan, and on either side of the line, the bust pan from here to here is going to be 4. So here again, I took that same measurement. So on either side, I took 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So on my waistline, I've actually taken the measurement. This is my waist measurement is from here to here, and that's waist divided by 4 from here to here. So from here to here is the dot allowance, this 2 inches. Then this is the same allowance. So on the chest line, I took the bust measurement and I added 1.5 seam allowance. So that's as far as I've gone. So now what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be shaping the under bust. So I'm going to be moving 1 inch to this side, 1 inch to this side. Remember that I just do my darts. I do my dart straight. So this is my dart line. That's if I want to connect the dart line to the bust point. So this is my dart line. So this is the dart line. So I decided to just go on. I just want to use a very simple method. So on this part, I'm coming in this side by 1 inch, and I'm coming in this side by 3/4 inch. So at the end of the day, I will have from the dart line, I will have my 1.5 inch to this side, and I will have my 1 inch, 1 inch to this side. It's just the same thing as you normally do. So this just makes it easier for me. So now I'm going to be connecting to the bust point in a smooth curve. Sorry about that. So I'll connect this thing back to the dart leg here. Connect it back to the dart leg here. So this one I'm going to be doing 1/2 inch after the dart leg. Just take it straight down. This one straight down as well. So that's actually what I got. Just the same thing, same. You can use any method that you feel it's okay by you. So we're going to be doing the armhole princess cut. We're going to be dividing this line. This is my head. I'm going to be dividing it into equal parts. That's 4 inches, and I'm going to be making a curved line from the bust point, not to curve, from the bust point. I'm blending these points together. So I want to just take 1/4 inch from the armhole so that to tighten the armhole 1/4 inch. I'll blend it into the line I just drew. I'll blend it into this line, 1/4 inch on each side of this line, 1/4 inch, and I'll just blend it into this line so that I can actually tighten the armhole. So this is done right now. So I'm through with the main body's construction. So right now I want to go for the neck. The neck we have on that style is called a built-up neckline. A built-up neckline. Make this 3x3 because I don't want to be too wide. Because by the time I scale, so I'll be adding 1/2 inch to this, between 3.5, as per the width of the neck. 3.5. The dirt, I can leave the dirt like this because you're still going to be shaping it. Let me just add ½ inch again to the depth, so making 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to just so that's the neckline. Then I'm going to measure up 3 inches, 2 inches, depends on how high you want it. So I'll be doing 2.5 inches up. 2.5 inches on around the neckline. I'll just take 2.5 inches up and I'll draw myself a straight line. So at the neck width, I'm gonna just, that's 3.5, right? Make the 3.5 here and connect to this point. I'll connect to this point. And I'll come ½ inch. This is my neck width, right? I'm gonna come ½ inch. This is the shoulder line. This line is my shoulder line. This line is my shoulder line. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. So this is my shoulder line. So on the shoulder line, I'll come to the side by, let's say 3/4, not ½ inch. 3/4 of an inch, because I want that point to relax well. So I mark 3/4 of an inch on my shoulder line, and I'm gonna just connect it to this point. I'll connect it to this point, and I'll just blend this place, just like use something slightly curved for this point. Just let it blend with the shoulder line. Just blend it with the shoulder line. So we have our built-up neckline. So now I'm going to be taking the bust measurement. I've gotten my waist measurement up to this point, so I can take the bust measurement. And the seam allowance. So I'm going to be connecting this. So I'll be cutting this out. I'm leaving ½ inch seam allowance here to join it to the lower part of the dress. So I'll be cutting the back pattern. The back pattern will be having our zipper allowance. So the back pattern, I'm not going to be folding my paper because it's the same as the left and the right side of the back pattern are quite the same. So I just want to measure for my zipper allowance, and I'll be tracing this pattern on the neckline. I'll trace this neck part out because it has to be the same. Yeah. So the armhole now is the same. So for the back armhole, I'm going to be adding like ½ inch around this place so that it will not be the same at the front. Just at this corner, just add to this corner. Right. So I'm going to be taking my measurements, the bust, the waist, and the hip measurement. This is my dart line as well. So that's what I'll be doing. Let me trace this out first. yeah. So my waistline. Let me take this out. So I have the chest line and the cross back, and I have my dark line. Now take the waist and the bust measurement. The waist measurement 29 divided by 4. The dart allowance 1 inch. The dart I'm using at the back is half on each side. That's 1 inch. Then my seam allowance is 1.5. So I've gotten that. Then this is the bust measurement, the waist measurement. I'll just connect, and I will just cut this off. So this is the back. And don't forget, I'll be shaping the waist 1/4 of an inch, move 1/4 of an inch inward, and connect it to this line like you're making a dart. Connect it to this point. Connect it to this point. So my zipper allowance is 1 inch, so I'll just mark my 1 inch from the line I just drew. So I'll know what to trim off. So this is the back pattern. I'll just cut this off. So I have for the front, and I have for the back. So I'm working on the front next. Okay, now we have our pattern ready, and I've actually used the tracing wheel to trace the darts, as in that bustier side to the other side. So it's been traced, and yeah, what we have right there. So my lines are not equal because I think I traced the line incorrectly, but never mind, that doesn't really matter. So now the next thing to do is that I want to draw the style line for the collar. I'm drawing the style line for the collar. So remember that place that the neck side is blended. You just blend it so that it will not be sharp. So what I need to do now is that we're drawing the style line for the collar. Remember that the collar side is like an overlapped kind of neckline, like it's overlapped sort of. So I'll be bringing my curved collar ruler to actually achieve that. So I'll be drawing from the armhole to the tip of the eye neckline on one side. So for this side, I'll be drawing from the armhole to the tip of the eye neckline. I just draw my curved line like so. Then at the base of the neckline, I'll bring another line and draw it towards the armhole. This does not need any particular measurement, just from the tip of the neckline, and then the other one from the base of the neckline. So I'll be drawing like so. So the shaded part is going to be one of the collar. The shaded part is one of my collar. So that is collar number 1. the style line of the color has been drawn. So we have one like that. Is it really looking like it? Can you see that? It's really looking like a star already. So, and I'll be drawing from the tip on the base of the other eye neckline towards the other armhole. But in this case, I won't be going to the very tip of the armhole. I'll be coming up on the armhole a little bit, so I won't be drawing the line from the tip of the armhole, but definitely I'm going to be drawing it from the base of the eye neckline to on the tip of the eye neckline. So you can see that I'm kind of overlapping my drawing, so that this is actually what it is. In reality, this is actually how it's going to be. This actually how it's going to overlap. So that's exactly how I'm drawing the style line. So I'm trying to shade the other color with another color. So the red color part is the under color part, and the blue shaded color is the one that comes on top. So I'm going to be drawing a line around the chest area to actually help hold. That's actually what, like, it's, it's like overlapping. So we need part of the bodies to hold the inner collar, in place. We need that to hold it in place. So that's actually why I drew the line on the chest line. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tracing that out, just as I used my finger to point it out. I'm going to be tracing it out on another piece of paper. That is the under collar with the part of the bodies that will be holding it up. So that's what I'll be tracing on another piece of paper. So you'll be needing your tracing wheel. So what I've done so far, I'm going to be tracing that part, only that part, before I start cutting. So I need to trace that part out. So it's looking more like the style even before sewing it. So I'll be tracing the chest line as the first line I'm tracing. And I'll be tracing the collar part. That's the second thing I'm tracing. So I'll be tracing the hard line. So the color has been traced. Now that side has to be blended, well blended. There shouldn't be any sharp edge. So I don't have to trace that edge. I just traced it with my marker. I just traced that edge with my marker. So I've been moving the pattern, and I'll be tracing it out with my marker. In your own case, you're using your pencil. So I will just mark out the traced line. So now the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be cutting this out. So for the inner part, the pattern is ready. That's the pattern. And the shaded part is the collar side. So later on, we're still going to be cutting the collar side because it has to be separate. It has to be separate. So it got turned out. It got turned at that point. My heart is just use my sellotape to hold it together. Couldn't get the paper tape, so I had to just make do with what was available around me. So for the other side, I'm going to be cutting this side up. Cut it out. Yeah, that side is not needed. It's not needed. You can see what we have. That's what we have. So the collars will still be cut out separately from the main bodice. So for the back, so can you see I'm trying to match it up with the back, trying to match it up, and the collar side was actually aligned very well. Yeah, so that's the collar, and the collar will be separated from the main bodies. Yes, so yeah. Okay, so you can see now the front bodies is ready. The front bodies is ready, and the collar as well. So the other part of the collar, we'll have to separate the collar as well. So for the collar won't just be this straight. We have to cut some little slash line into it to kind of spread it out a little bit. To spread it out a little bit so that it can be curvy and just be like a real collar. Yeah, you just curve a little bit. You just spread it by half inch, so that it can actually be curvy and have the collar structure proper. If you leave it straight, it's just going to be like a straight fabric that is not, the collar curves around the neck. So just leave it straight, it's going to just be straight and flat. Then the neckline is not going to lay very well. So this will actually make the neckline to be more relaxed and to be more relaxed on the body when the wearer wears it. So I'm trying to add my sellotape to hold the space or to hold the spreading. Okay, so this is the fabric I will be using, and the fabric has been folded. Can you see the folded edge? So it's been folded in two. And the back pattern, I've placed the back pattern on it. And for the back pattern, I think while making the patterns, I forgot to cut that eye neck collar side off. So that's exactly what I am doing right now. So I'll do the same thing I did to the other collar, just slash it a little bit to make it more curvy, so that it can still relax more on the neckline. So I'm doing all these things because if you check the neckline in the collar in the picture, it wasn't too choky on the neck. It was not too close to the neckline. It was kind of sitting separate from the neck. So as it has a little distance from the neck. So that's why we're actually adding all this simple slash lines. So this is the collar for the back. So I'm going to just leave this separate. Okay. So it's ready now. And the next thing is the so that's the collar for the back neckline. So I'm notching the zipper allowance. So I'll just go ahead and cut the bodice pattern right on the folded fabric. Just cut it right on the folded fabric. So I was having this taping issue with the collar, so I guess I actually opened it more. So I was trying to just adjust it to just ½ inch. The spacing should just be ½ inch at the base and a little at the upper side. So now that's done. So I'm going to be cutting this. I'm going to be cutting this out. So basically what we'll be doing here is just to cut our patterns on the fabrics. So it's no big deal about it. Excuse me. So there's no big deal about it. So we're just going to be cutting on the fabric as just follow the patterns that you have made. And remember, most of our projects are done using paper patterns drafted using freehand method. So don't be mistaken, don't be confused. This is not pattern drafting method, this is freehand cutting. But we have to just it's been a practice for us to just cut on paper first before placing on the fabric. If you watched most of my videos, I don't like marking directly excuse me, on the fabric, and I don't teach my students like that as well. If I'm marking directly on the fabric, the main bit, that's just something very simple. But most times I cut on paper, then I place on my fabric, and this is how I do my thing. and it has helped me a great deal. But this is not pattern drafting technique. This is still freehand technique. We're cutting it on paper, so don't get confused. So this is my collar, and I'll be cutting other parts as in the front. So for the front, you're not folding the fabric because the parts are just too different. So just make sure that you cut them individually so that you won't have any issue. So I'll be cutting, adding 1/2 inch allowance for sewing. That's on the center of the front. You can see I just added little allowance. Then make sure you notch your bust point. Very, very important to always notch your bust point. Then at the armhole area as well, I'm adding extra. Then at the side, the pattern already had allowance, so I'm adding extra. There's no harm in always having extra allowance. So I will do the same thing with this other side of the bustier, and I'll just do the same thing. I added 1/2 inch to the waistline, so that's for sewing, and 1/2 inch round, then 1 inch to the side. Remember I said the side already had a seam allowance, but I just love having extra, so in case, I don't know, but that's just the way I do it. So notch your bust point, very important. The under bust is very clearing. So this is done. Now the center of the front. So you can see that on the front I wasn't folding the fabric. I just laid flat. So different projects, different way of cutting. Different project, different way of cutting. So I'll just go ahead and finish the cutting. So this is done. Now for the collar, I was cutting it. I didn't know the video wasn't recording, so I've cut the collar, the one for the front, the upper collar for the front. While I was cutting it, I added allowance to round the collar. I added allowance around the collar, and I made the collar longer. It's overlapped, and it has to actually enter the side seam very well, so I made it longer than what I had on the pattern, right? Because I've actually added extra 1 inch to the side of the pattern while I was cutting the bodice on fabric, so I had to make up for that on the collar as well. So I made it longer than usual, or longer than what I had on the pattern. So this is it. So I'll cut double of this. I'll cut double of this. So the front has been taken care of. You can just pin together for you not to get confused later on. So this now I'll be using my stabilizer or interfacing to just give it a little structure, and I'll be using a paper stay. You can use air stay, you can use soft gum stay for the collar parts to stand, but I used paper stay on both the collar pieces. So this is the front of the dress, and it's actually cut out. It's cut out and it's done. It's done and done and done. So you just go ahead and iron on our stabilizer or interfacing, whatever name you want to call it, air stay, paper stay. You can actually put the wording around the bust point area for structure, but I hardly use the wording. It depends on what I'm making. But for this project, I won't be using
Okay, so
wording
this is the
because wording
color
is
for the
kind
back.
of heavy stabilizer,
So here I'll be
and
using
sometimes it can affect the
fabric,
structure of
because this
the dress
is
if
the
just
other part
taken.
for the front. So I'll be using
So
my tartan
this is the other
to do
side,
that.
and
So
this
I'll
side will
just
be
place the
using
pattern
an
on the
alternate
tartan.
fabric
I'll
for
have
it.
my seam allowance to
We'll
be
be
able
using
to
the
cut
Ankara.
it out. And I
So
will
I'll be
add,
using the
I will iron on
alternate
my
fabric
interfacing.
for
I'll be using
this
paper
other
stay.
side.
I use
The
stay
collar
if you
and
like.
the back collar as
For
will
the
be
collar, you
cut
can
in
use very
Ankara, of
soft
course.
gum stay,
But for the other side of the
so that can actually still
overlapped
it will
collar,
have a structure
we'll be
than the
using
main body.
another
So
fabric. I'll be using satin for that area. So I can just go ahead and just cut
quickly
it,
do that.
and I'll add extra
Come back.
allowance.
Come back.